Hey, how are you doing? Happy Saturn retrograde. Thank you so much for joining me here. I go by the name of the Holy Cow. I'm glad you decided to join us here. We are just doing a wonderful little 5-month overview starting from July 13, 2025 to November 27, 2025 of basically the thematics that your zodiac sign, which obviously you know before I do, per the reason you clicked on the video, will be experiencing at a high view, because this 5-month period is really going to be about having the opportunity to surrender to spiritual awareness, to really start reflecting on and restructuring our concept of like personal responsibility and accountability as it pertains to who we've evolved to now in the current day and time. So I've got probably 5 more signs left to do. Basically what I do is I just pick a piece of paper at random that has whatever zodiac sign on it, just to show you that I do these readings live, and I can establish a rapport of trust with you. That, you know, have any ulterior motives or their agenda. You know, you're gonna have to see how accurate and how well I am as a psychic for yourself and move accordingly. But I hope that you find so much out of this, because you've been brought here for obviously divine reasons. So let's just get right into it. We're just going to do a classic tarot psychic reading for the next 5 months, and I hope, like I said, there's tons of information embedded here. We're also going to be uploading all 12 of the zodiac signs, so you also are free to use this archive viewer all the time. I would encourage you to watch all the readings, because you know you have all of these placements in your own chart with as well. But if you do happen to have access to your birth chart or your natal chart, I would suggest looking at some of the other signs that you know you have planets within as well. So anywho, let's see who we've got. Spirit. Leo. Hey big Leo. So excited to do this reading. I'm actually really excited. We're gonna go ahead and do the classic right away for you. Let me just go ahead and make sure my daddy's reset. Make sure you got some water, Leo. Just go ahead and get you guys all set up real quickly. Leo, how are we fucking doing, Leo? It's a lot going on for you guys, right? I think I'm excited to do y'all's because message, actually, like I'm glad I'm getting it out, because Mercury's gonna go retrograde July 17th, I believe. So really glad in your sign. So I think it's really important that I do get the Leo message out, because I think you guys are gonna be having such a funky few 5 months, just because I think a lot of deep restructuring will be happening for you guys. So let me go ahead and get this shit proper. And we'll see what's up. Leo. Just jump right in. Thank you, Creator Princess, for allowing me to tap into the Leo Collective. Okay, Leo, let's see your opening message. For the next 5 months, Saturn retrograde. So, Leo. Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you because Saturn is going to be deeply restructuring aspects of your life, because from what I can see, it looks like you created and manifested an empire on top of your anxiety and your fears. So, we have to talk about that, because that's going to, and this is a good thing. This is probably the reason why Mercury needs to go ahead and retrograde into your sign. Just because I think it's really important for you to let's stop doing that. Yeah, let's not build any major empires on top of, like, this is like spiritual, like, initiation. This is like your spiritual truth. There's like a lot of things that you built an empire around that were just like that were false for you. And I think it can be really hard, because I think this is that time when the gavel kind of knocks in our personal life, and we have to take accountability for the things that we've created that unfortunately are hurting us more than anyone else, you know, because Leo, this is really difficult. This is someone who puts on a huge mask. You're responsible for a lot. You're responsible for an entire empire. This is like, hey, yeah, this is the boss, this is the CEO, this is the big guy, this is the top dog, this is the helm of the family. But underneath, this is how you're going to bed. Leo, you can't run an empire any further, like feeling like this every night. You know, it's got to break. And I feel like Mercury retrograde is about to get into the guts and like make you confront that. Like, the reason this is going to have an abrupt stop, or this can't keep going forward, you can't keep creating this, is because you don't even have the force. It's pitch black on your interior. You know what I mean? Like, This is like in your day job, you're putting on this huge mask, like, I'm great, like, and you think that that's going to be conducive, but it's like, this is the battery that fuels this. So if the battery that fuels this is like completely out of juice, it does not, there's such a disconnect here, Leo. Massive disconnect. And I think that this is what Saturn retrograde, I knew it was going to be a little bit more intense for our Leo placements, because you just cannot build an empire of feeling on top of this bad of a feeling. You get what I'm saying? And I think it has to do with Leos at this time really needing to deal with their massive wounds that they received in life, you know, because, you know, you've got this experience here where it's like, you know, you're powerful, you know, you're creative, you know, in fact, you know, like in a lot of ways, like you are kind of this sort of like central sun experience. You are like this sort of central sun of like the universe type of frequency. But at the same time, it's like you have to be able to like acknowledge and like pay attention to the fact that, like, you know, it's like, this is just about prioritizing you. I think especially because we talked about, you know, this fallen empire of entertainment, this fallen empire of like, you know, nobody really needs to like perform for anybody. Nobody really gets anything out of someone performing themselves. I think that's the thing. It's like, Leo, this just kind of reeks of like, I've been performing my life instead of just letting myself live it. Yeah. So I don't even need to belabor that. I think you know that feeling. I think, Leo, like if you're having to do that where it's like you feel like piss poor, but then it's like I'm putting on like, hey, I'm running the empire and it's good, but the empire's like falling, you know, the empire is like falling, and you're just trying to like really keep it together. I think it would be really good that Saturn is going to really push you. Like I'm really holding space for you, Leo. Saturn is going to really push you at this time to really allow some of that to like fall, you know, and most importantly for you to just tell the truth about it. I feel like these are a lot of truths that you have been like deep throating. You're not talking about how all this stuff really makes you feel. And I think you probably have a lot of incentives. Maybe there are people outside of you that really love what you offer when you sacrifice yourself. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you know, what good is it going to get you? Realistically, you know, what good is it really going to get you realistically to build life in this way? Let's see. Let's see what's crossing the feeling. Yeah. Saturn retrograde is going to force you to have the biggest, darkest night of the soul. I kind of told you, a lot of our Leo collective, like, you really need to keep my warning when I say, like, a lot of your, like, summer vibes are not, you can't keep going if the summer vibe is that fucking horrific, right? If it's that disconnected. If it's like, we see one version of you, but the inside of you is nothing like that. One, because you're probably not advocating for the help you need. It's like that hard to tell, because I also feel like with this original energy, it's like, people wouldn't know. Leo, and I'm really holding space for you because I do not, you know, you just got to be careful because you don't want to put yourself into a position or into a place where it's like, you know, I'm not trying to be like dark or anything, but this is where like, you know, suicidal tendencies and thoughts like that, like life-ending thoughts really propagate when it's like, you know, I don't have anyone to talk to because like, how can I even begin to talk to people about what my problems are when they don't even know they exist because I don't even show them. I also just think like a lot of your manifesting power has been going into keeping people from seeing the truth about you rather than like, you get what I'm saying? It's just been going into keeping people from knowing the fucking truth about you rather than actually like building something sustainable for you. And it's like what's crossing you with this retrograde is like all this, retrograde's gonna cook this up. If you got 9 swords you're sitting on, retrograde's gonna cook this all up. Yeah, because if you know, again, this is kind of like what I was going back to when I was talking to artists. I was like, artists, you know, if your art you can't even be yourself in, we've lost the plot. Like if your art can't hold you like through whatever you're fucking going through, we've lost the fucking plot. You're not just here to fucking tap dance for us. We don't need you to do anything. We don't even need artists to do anything particular, you know, except for being their honest truth. But you've gone from being able to bare your soul in your life to like completely hiding and just trying to think that you're giving. And I think you think you're way more of a service, but actually also a lot of the people that are connected to this empire, you might be dealing with a lot of fallout and a lot of connections that are falling out because your empire doesn't serve anybody. It's like you have this whole image, Leo, that like you do so much and that everybody gets so much from you. But I think the people that actually have been taking from you are like, nigga, I don't really get that much from you. And they're starting to feel it. Like they're starting to feel this, like, yeah, you don't really give that much. You can't really give that much. Because you're going to bed every night fucking crying and tweaking and shit. Like, you're going to bed every night, like, having a really fucking difficult experience, you know? Having a really, like, difficult time, you know? Like, trying to navigate your reality. you know? And so I just want you to be very careful about, because it's bigger than you. You know, I know you're in a very self-victimized place right now, Leo, it sounds like, at the start of the Saturn retrograde. But it also doesn't really help any, you're not a service to other people when you think, it's not sustainable. Like, you're not going to be able to keep doing that, you know? Because the Hermit is asking you to reconnect. I'm just feeling like this is one of those things, Leo, after a while, so within, so without. So if in the age of Pisces you got away with like being able to feel this shitty on the inside and like put on some mask on the outside, the retrogrades are about to turn the lights out on the outside too. And then it's because it's trying to force you to develop your personal light. You've got to develop it out. You've got to get stronger. Your light has got to get stronger. And you need to also, I'm hearing, you've got to let people in. I feel like Leo, the divine is trying to help you right now. They're really trying to bring you people that can help support you, that people that are intuiting like the things that are like going wrong, like on the inside of you. Because I just feel like you are at this position where it's like you are not actually recognizing that like you might be in like way shittier putting you just, it's like such a self-reflective thing. I think like perhaps your disposition is like you feel like everybody needs from you. They need you to be this nurturer, this provider, but you've never known how to take care of yourself. It's like a deep wound. You get what I'm saying? And I think it was how you responded to like not being taken care of in your childhood. But like you don't know how to take care of yourself, and yet you're trying to act like you can provide for other people. And it's not going to be successful. Because eventually people are going to start tapping into how they really feel when they receive stuff from you, and it doesn't feel that great. Because you don't have that much. And so I just think that be prepared, because Saturn retrograde, I think it turned out the lights. I think that people are going to start seeing that the stuff that's connected to you is flopping. It's fucking dark. It's like, you know, and it's because you gotta walk away from feeling like you can fill up all these cups, because I think you need to go and reconnect to your personal fulfillment, you know, your personal ecosystem. I also feel like, Leo, there's also something very important, is like there's another side message, is like, Leo, you've done some heinous stuff to an Empress, you know. I feel like there's a lot of guilt in this frequency, there's a lot of shame in this frequency. And it has a lot to do with like your ability to also like kind of apologize or rectify situations, because I'm getting like this sort of Knight of Cups frequency, which means like it's going to require you to, I think you were moving out of your ego. Like I think there was a time where you didn't want to be seen as a page when you really were a page. So I think this has to do with like not doing well, like learning from other people or things like that. And it's like, you know, you have to go back for the time where like when you were being asked to be a Page of Wands, like maybe you were causing like somebody so much, Leo. It's kind of just like being a nightmare. This is kind of like the boss that's like a nightmare to work for. Like this is an Empress who like makes all her staff just like fucking suffer. You know, it's like, it's kind of, you know, kind of a bit of a prima donna energy. It's kind of a bit of a like, what the fuck? And it just has to do with you need to like integrate your shadow. There's a lot of like spiritual maturity that needs to happen here. There's a lot of like, I also feel like there's a lot of consumerism issues here, Leo, where like you're having to deal with like being kind of just like a high paid slave. Like again, talking about consumerism is like, you know, kind of the perfected slavery perfected. It's like I was looking at this doctor who was talking, I was like listening to his lecture, and he was just talking about that, you know, where it's like, you know, we've kind of got to this place where like being a like high level consumerist is actually just like being a high paid slave. And, you know, and then therefore everybody that's connected to you is enslaved. Like I feel like this is an Empress who has an empire that's like, it forces people to like be enslaved to them too. Like you're starting to see like outside of you, like the people that are around you, they feel like it's not a natural feeling. It's not a good thing, Leo, when people are like treating you like, oh, like you shouldn't be having people around you that like think you're so like amazing. Like that's also making you feel uncomfortable, and it's making you feel guilt, because you know that's not natural. You know it's not normal for other people of equal value to you to be like praising you, but yet you set up this dynamic and you're kind of like trying to get insight on like, why do people always respond to me that way? It's like, well, that's kind of what you do to yourself. You know, it reflects your own energy. You mask deeply. You show this image and you want to be seen somewhere, but it has nothing to do with how you actually feel about yourself, right? Like let's say out in the world, like use an artist for example, it's like out in the world you're known as like this hot sex symbol artist, but on the inside you really struggle to even feel attractive. We've never had stable relationships where you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like the disconnect of like, you know, maybe people on the internet, fans, people from across the globe, like they idealize you in some way, but then it's kind of like, on the inside, like it's like you've never even really had somebody proper come up to you and ask you for your number. You don't have, it's like, this is like an empress that doesn't have the experience to back up all the stuff that they're claiming and commanding, because this is like you abusing magic to get all this stuff and create all this stuff, but you don't have the experience to like back it up. Some of the things you're like trying to do and say, or even just like with the partnerships, this is also like not letting yourself like make certain partnerships and like develop them out, because you don't really, it's just like another issue is like calling everybody your brother, your sister, your family member, whatever, and it's like your relationship's not that deep. And I just feel like being seen for that. And I just feel like there just needs to be a deep break in that, because I feel like this frequency is that fucking intuitive frequency. This frequency is like, okay, break from the light, like break from the polarities, right? It's like, look. Oh, Leo. It's like we need a break from the polarities, right? I can't just be vast. Look at this. I feel like this hermit goes between these two poles, He goes this way towards the Empress, and then he turns around and he goes this way. So it's like you're just going back and forth between light and dark, like two very different experiences altogether. And Spirit's trying to have you find a better middle ground that comes more from a heart-centered space. Reconnecting to your intuition is another big thing that I feel like Saturn retrograde is going to be doing for you at this time. Because I think there's going to have to be a break. I think you cannot... Leo, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you think you can keep going and avoid people knowing how dark you are on the inside or what you've done on the inside from the outside, it's coming to light. Feel inside is going to be outside of you. So just be prepared for that Saturn retrograde. Truly. And I think it's actually something you should be prepared for, because it's going to be the best thing that's ever happened for you. It's going to help you like really reconnect and like come back online to like who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like you want this new start. I think you want to be able to like move from your intuition and from your passion. But I think you have, it's like there's something that you see that you really want to like connect with. But I think they're going to transform you. I think they're going to ask you to like step up. And I know this, like my mom, for example, she's Leo rising. And, the thing that was really triggering her about me was she has all this darkness she's never told the truth about. From fear of judgment, persecution, whatever the case may be. Things that she's done that she's not proud of, right? Obviously. And that she's obviously her worst critic on, And she's being offered these new beginnings that, they're attractive. They're, like your kids, like the things that I've been trying to build, which are very much conscious. They're not all like of the light, but I'm very big on like putting... Everything needs to become conscious for light and for dark. All aspects of yourself need to be on the table. And, as much as she wanted to move towards me and Dennis and the things we're doing, like she couldn't, there was no real ability to do that, at the end of the day, because of the fact that like, there's so much that she was holding back and like being deceptive about. And then also the worst part is it's not even that you're omitting your truth, but you're also like lying. Like you want people to view you as this like, Empress that has so much to give, and maybe you don't have that much. We'll know at this time if it's like flattened out. You don't have that much to give someone. Yeah, and it's like your recent past was the Four of Pentacles. Do you get what I'm saying? Kind of being miserly. I feel like a lot of my Leo placements too were trying to tell, a lot of times in the past you would try to tell people like you wouldn't give or open up your foundation to people because you were telling them they weren't good enough for you, right? So people would just be trying to like, invest in you. But the reality is I don't think you had it to give. I don't think you had that much internally. Yeah. And at the crowning of this reading, Spirit really wants you to take your Knight of Wands, take your Leo energy, and to really seek out equal give and take. But the only way that you can start that journey of equal give and take over the next 5 months is it's going to start with a big addressal about how big of a mask you're wearing. It's a massive mask. And I want you to maybe be the person to be forthright about that rather than letting the universe catch up to you. And I'm just telling you, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, whatever today's date is, you got 2 days. In 48 hours, If you don't tell the truth about this, your outside world is going to reflect your inside, and I think that scares the shit out of you. So be the person to come out and tell the truth on the outside first, because I think you'll lose a lot more, and the impact will be a lot longer lasting and a lot more negative when you wait on the world to like reflect that what the true nature of your interior was. Because I just think there are some beautiful things that are honest about what you're trying to build in this empire. And so you just don't want to lose the things that are honest and realistic. Sorry, Dennis just picked up the cat in a funny way. But, you know, there are certain things that like we're honest and realistic about this. And I just don't want, you know, we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it's just like the truth about you and how like, it's like a shallow, it's like, there's things that are coming out about you right now that don't make sense to people. You're like, what? What kind of fucking shit are you on? What's going on in your life? Type of shit, Leo. And I'm telling you, you got like 48 hours from when this video's up. Yeah. You're going to need to really, it's like, it's time to walk away from keeping yourself outside of your own happiness. Yeah. It's like you've been doing this forever. You know, like I said, Leo, a lot of you have just been investing in a mask. Dude, I know you don't know this, but I have a fucking dumb Donald tattoo because I used to be just like you, Leo. This was my spirit animal. I got this fucking shit. I don't know if you guys ever seen the Crosby Kids. Fat Albert and them, okay? Dumb Donald, okay? I got this shit when I was 21. Because one of the things that I used to really struggle with when I was in my early 20s, and because I was fucking traumatized and wounded, is like I was just living a lie. Like I literally like, it's not that I was like my energy was fake or like I was using my real magnetism, but it was easier for me to stomach what my energy was by like telling a different narrative about myself, or just like being inauthentic, or like I used to just act like I was way more promiscuous than I was, or that I was way more like, you know, just stoic than I was. I used to act like I was just way more a lot of things than I really was, when really I'm like a sensitive, like deeply like, you know, you see what I am now in Tethered Studios. But let's just say like what I was doing in my early 20s was like completely opposite of this, you know? And do you know how much like painful that was for me? And when I got this tattoo, it was like because I had a spiritual awakening, and I was like, dude, I can't keep building this life where everybody thinks it's just like whore party girl Alexis, and it's like not really accurate. Don't get me wrong, I love a good party, I love a good vibe, I love a good time, but it's like it's not what I was like portraying to people, you know? I used to act like it didn't hurt me that people would reject me, you know? I used to act like it didn't hurt me that like people would use me, or people were racist towards me and stuff like that. It's just like, it's kind of what I give. And I feel like when I made that oath to myself that it was like, Alexis, it doesn't matter what you do next in life, it doesn't matter whether you're a success or not, but one thing you can't go back on anymore is that everything you do has to be for you, by you, for the real you. You know, and that's why the tattoo says like for us, by us, because it's like just like my reminder to myself. It's like, dude, never go back, never pick the mask back up, you know? Because I think what's going to come in like 48 hours when Mercury retrogrades, Leo, is like the mask is going to be shown for how fraudulent it really was, whether you wanted that or not. It is. Everyone falls from grace, especially people who are doing this. And I just want you to take my advice. Like when I had to fucking get honest that like I wasn't like that, and I lost everything. I don't have any of the friends I used to have. Not because they left me. I had to leave. I didn't even just like leave them like peace. I like told people, I was like, dude, I got to be a better person, yo. I got honest with each and every one of them. I was like, I'm not in love with who I am. You know, I really hate myself. I go out with you guys every weekend, but I hate myself. And that's not a good vibe at the club. You know, it's not a good vibe. And I didn't want to keep living that way, you know, truthfully. I didn't want to keep living that way where it's like I'm giving my friends are like fucking, we're taking shots, we're having fun, we're doing this, you know, I'm going on trips with them, we're doing that, but I didn't love myself at all. And I was like, I got to find a better way to reconnect with this stuff. I don't care how hard it was, but it stems from an abandonment wound, right? And every time you get close to walking away from doing that, you go right back to the abandonment wound. And I think that's where this mask came from. Many of our Leo placements, many of you have some of the worst, atrocious abandonment issues where you feel like you were just like left and it really scarred you, you know, at some point in your life. And I'm holding space for that because I have the same situation. I've had many people that I really deeply care about that I feel like to a certain extent, like just like really ended up kind of just leaving me, you know? And it's very difficult for me Wow. And you know what's funny, Leo? Let me see. Is you kind of fucked around and found out. Because what I'm getting, Leo, is there's an Emperor with the Three of Pentacles. Is like, I think the thing that's actually initiating you, Leo, is like you put on a mask. And for a long time, you've just been wearing the mask, doing fine, building like a fake life. But then the mask fucked around and actually like attracted an equal. And they're not faking. They're not wearing a mask. They're really your equal. Like they're the mask's equal. And I think you've been in this tight pickle. I think this relationship has like really been stressing you the fuck out. Truly. Because they don't know how much what they're attracting to. And like I think this Emperor came up and offered you something that you can't give them. They offered the mask something because they thought that mask was dead ass. And it's not. Like you don't even have that. Like, you don't even have that. You know? You don't have as much as you've been portraying to people that you have. And so now you're starting to pull people in that are like out of your league, out of your jurisdiction, out of your capabilities. And I think it's just been causing you a lot of, like, it's kind of felt like a ticking timer. Like, it's only a matter of time before they find out, like, I don't have anything. And they're going to have to just move on because I'm, like, completely locked. I don't have... Leo placements. It's heavy. But I think this is going to be for your betterment. Like, this period of your life, it will be for your betterment because you'll learn that whatever wounding caused you to feel like you had to make a complete fake persona. It's important that gets dealt with anyways. Because I think behind this horrible situation is like an abuser, something that abused you that is not been talked about. Because I think the reason we would wear a mask, for me, the reason I created the mask is I was abused and I could never talk to anybody about it. So it was my way of like being able to like make it in the world. To protect myself. I just think you didn't expect this. I didn't think you